Hello, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So this afternoon, we will be focusing on the early years apprenticeship level 5 programs, which is including our level 5 lead practitioners and also the coaching in the early years. So um, joining us today, we have Emma, our apprenticeship curriculum manager. So who will be sharing everything you need to know about the program content, delivery, and all things. And Steve, our apprenticeship funding manager, will guide you through how the funding works, including the apprenticeship levy and also the co-investment. And Jessica, our recruitment manager, will explain the recruitment and placement support we provide, which can actually benefit you not only about the as an apprentice, but also maybe as a leader within your setting. And at the end of the webinar, there will be a Q&A section. So if you have any questions during the webinar, during the presentation, please put them in the Q&A box and we will come back to them later. And if you join late, no worries. So this webinar is being recorded. So anytime, if you have anything, you have to leave early, we will send a recording to you afterwards. So don't worry about it. Okay, so shall we start now? I'll just hand over to Emma and everyone enjoy the section.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma Redding and I'm the Curriculum Manager for Early Years at Best Practice Network. I'm going to be talking you through what our Level 5 apprenticeship programs look like. So if you could get it onto the next slide, thank you, Stephen. So we going to go over what an apprenticeship is. So an apprenticeship is a learning program that allows learners to earn a wage while they learn, basically. So all apprentices are members of staff and must have a contract in the workplace that covers the full duration of their program. As you can see on the slide, there's different elements to an apprenticeship program. So something called, first of all, the standard, which is the knowledge, skills, and behaviours that you will be working towards whilst on program. There's an element in an apprenticeship of maths and English functional skills that need to be completed. So we'll talk a little bit more as we go through about what that might look like. There's something called off-the-job training that is needed to be completed on an apprenticeship, which is basically dedicated time towards your learning whilst in work within your working hours. There are additional elements within some of our programs. So our coaching program, I'll talk a bit more about, has a additional qualification embedded in. And all of the assessment is done at the end of an apprenticeship at the moment. So when when you've completed all of the elements on program, there's something called Gateway to Completion, which will confirm that you are ready for your apprenticeship assessment. And I'll talk about the apprenticeship assessment and what that looks like as we go through the slides today. So I'm going to go into the benefits of our apprenticeships and then I'll go on and talk specifically about the different level 5 programs that we've got available. So first of all, the two apprenticeships that I'm looking at today, early years lead practitioner and coaching in the early years, are designed to support development of lead practitioners and coaches to support them to excel within their roles as a leader or as a coach. Um, they offer as well that route into higher education. So if you, in addition to development within the workplace, if you wanted to progress onto further learning, then it offers that route into higher education whilst working and gaining practical experience in your setting. We do a lot on our programs to develop our apprentices as individuals, as well as just supporting them towards meeting the knowledge, skills, and behaviours. So the program will support you to develop your confidence, communication skills, and to support wider learning as well as the core learning on program. If you could just click on, thank you, Steve. So there's it also provides an opportunity to gain a fully funded qualification. So it's completely free for an apprentice. An apprentice will never need to pay any part of their program. And we'll talk a little bit more about funding later on when I hand over to Steve. So what do our programs look like? So first of all, it's a blended program of face-to-face and online study. So for both our apprenticeships that we're looking at today, there's virtual classroom sessions that are delivered online for 2 hours. Each month there is also face-to-face visits with an apprenticeship tutor and a range of online learning resources for independent study as well. There are progress reviews every between 4 and 6 weeks completed with your apprenticeship tutor. You will receive specialist tutor support one-to-one. All of our apprenticeship tutors have experience within early years and leadership and have that sector experience to support you. There is also access to our BPM Boost program, which is our personal development, career information, advice and guidance and welfare program. And every apprentice on program has access to that, including classes on things such as resilience, managing stress, balancing studying and home and work life, things like career goals, and yeah, mental health and well-being and so on. So we have classes, podcasts, and online resources available. There is also a lot of reflection that we encourage within our apprenticeship, so regular reflections on learning and practice. And because it's an employer-led program, an apprenticeship, so there's a strong partnership between us as the training provider, your employer, and you as the apprentice. Next slide, please, Stephen. Thank you. Just a bit about our apprenticeships now. So I'll talk through the two programs we're looking at today. So first of all, Early Years Lead Practitioner, Level 5. This program is an 18-month program, and there is a 3-month apprenticeship assessment at the end of the program as well. So a 3-month window where you would be assessed. It's designed for those that are in a leadership role within an earlier setting, or aspiring leaders that can be given significant leadership responsibilities. So ideally, you should be in a leadership role already to take this apprenticeship. There is, I mentioned earlier, so maths and English. So maths and English level 2 functional skills are mandatory for apprentices who are 16 to 18 years old and haven't already achieved GCSE grade C or a grade 4 or equivalent. And they're optional for everybody else, but we would highly encourage for this apprenticeship, if you've not achieved your maths and English already, that you complete those maths and English qualifications with us to support your development as a leader. There are 19 online virtual classroom sessions that we run. You can see the different topics on the screen, things like leadership practice, the unique child, implementation of legislation and guidance, and learning and development. So early years focused training, but with a leadership focus. And it is a fully recognised qualification in line with the EYTS. We would recommend that you typically have done your level 3 first, but in some exceptions where somebody's got significant experience within a setting, it may be appropriate to go straight on to the level 5 because it's got that fully recognised qualification. But that would be very rare cases. We'd normally suggest and strongly encourage you to make sure you've done your level 3 first. Just briefly going to show you our modules for the level 5 early years lead practitioner so you can see what you would study. So study skills and reflective practice is what we always start with to be able to support your skills that you need to study on programme. And I won't read them all out, but if you could just click through them, Stephen, that would be great. So you can see we then go into looking at things like inclusion, ethics, rights-based approaches, building on each module as you go through. So each module is designed in order to build on the learning that you've done in the previous module to make it really clear and easy for you and make sure that that you're able to learn in the best possible way. And lots of preparation for assessment at the end of the programme as well. So that is our early years lead practitioner apprenticeship. We also have our coaching in the early years apprenticeship, level 5, another one of our level 5 apprenticeships. So this one is a slightly shorter program, shorter, more focused over a shorter period of time. So 9 months on program and then a 3-month apprenticeship assessment window again at the end of the program. It's designed for early years leaders, practitioners, support staff, anybody that is using coaching or wanting to develop within a coaching role to deepen their understanding of coaching as a non-directive, person-centered approach. And it's designed with early years in mind to develop structured, high-quality coaching skills that are specific to early years. It's not a qualification that's counted as an early years qualification in terms of the EYFS. So you must have an early years qualification first to be able to then go on and do the coaching apprenticeship. It is fully focused on coaching skills. In completing this apprenticeship, you will also work towards the ILM Level 5 Certificate in Effective Coaching and Mentoring. So there's a qualification embedded within the apprenticeship. And it focuses, I'll show you on the next screen, but it focuses on structured approaches like the GROW model, solution focused coaching to support colleagues that are working in early years environments. So we'll move on to the next slide. This shows you a bit about what our program looks like and what our modules look like. So you can see some of the things that you would be learning if you were to begin a coaching apprenticeship. You start off with the principles of good coaching, as you can see on the screen. Modules 3 to 6 look at undertaking coaching and look at some of those practical skills. And then the final modules are around reflection, self-evaluation, and CPD. So that is what the journey looks like for the coaching apprenticeship. So we'll go on to the career progression route. So if you were looking to complete further study, having completed one of our level 5 apprenticeships, this is just one of many possible routes that you could take. Having completed a level 5 apprenticeship, you could go on to do a top-up degree in early years. There are a couple of universities that we are partnered up with that will accept apprentices who have completed a level 5 apprenticeship. And the process would be to apply directly to the university. So we're partnered up with a couple of universities that we can recommend. And you could then also go on to do early years initial teacher training if you wanted to then complete further study. So that is just one of the possible career pathways that you could take involving further study. So, what does the assessment look like? So, as I mentioned earlier, apprenticeship assessment is all completed at the end of the programme. So, as you can see on the screen, there are two different assessment methods for the early years lead practitioner apprenticeship, which is an observation and questioning session and a professional discussion underpinned by a portfolio of evidence. The portfolio must include a case study. So that's an element that you would need to put together whilst on programme. And you can see for coaching in the early years, it's similar. There's an observation to start with for assessment method 1, observation and questioning session, an interview rather than a professional discussion. So interview supported by a portfolio of evidence. And there is a third assessment method, which is a knowledge test. So that is what you would be working towards. Your tutor would support you all the way through the programme. So we put a lot of focus on making sure that you are fully ready all the way through the apprenticeship. So there's nothing to worry about in terms of being put into assessments that you're not ready for. You're supported all the way through to make sure that you are ready by the time you get to the end of your programme. I'm now just going to go over what the employer requirements are. So your employer would be required to give you support whilst on programme if you are working towards an apprenticeship with us. So these are what we would expect from an employer. First of all, it is important that employers do attend the reviews that we do every 4 to 6 weeks. So making sure that they are attending those reviews and having input to support your development. Making sure that they allow you time to attend your monthly virtual classrooms. The virtual classrooms are a key part of the journey. They're really important to make sure that you have that interactive element that you can discuss and share ideas with other apprentices, have that support from an experienced tutor. And there's practical elements such as for the coaching apprenticeship, allowing you to practice your coaching skills within those classes. So they're really important. There is a requirement for off-the-job training. The hours on the screen actually are for the early years lead practitioner programme. There is a set amount of off-the-job training for each apprenticeship, and it's a requirement that employers make sure that that off-the-job training time is given. So that is dedicated time towards your learning within your working hours, where you are learning new knowledge, skills, and behaviours that are relevant to your apprenticeship, basically. It's also important for employers to provide apprentices with a mentor. So you would need to make sure that you are provided with a mentor to support you whilst on programme, to make sure you've got that regular support, feedback, and guidance, and that you are also given those opportunities to develop your knowledge, skills, and behaviours. You're given the opportunity, for example, if there's something that isn't currently part of your role but is needed for the apprenticeship, that you are given those opportunities to develop within your role. Next slide, please, Stephen. Thank you. So what do you need to apply? So you must be 16 or over and meet the requirements of apprenticeships. So first of all, it says about your maths and English. You need to be able to achieve those on programme if required. or have equivalent qualifications. As I've mentioned, it's mandatory for 16 to 18-year-old apprentices to complete their functional skills if required on programme. But we would strongly recommend for these apprenticeships the early years lead practitioner in particular, if you haven't already achieved your maths and English, that you work on that on programme. A level 3 early years educator qualification or extensive experience. So that is particularly for the early years lead practitioner. As I mentioned, there may be some exceptions where there is extensive experience, but it is a complete requirement to have a early years qualification for the coaching apprenticeship. UK residency for more than 3 years, and support from your employer or that support in finding an employer. So you need to have that support from an employer. You need to be employed in a suitable role to be able to start this apprenticeship. And funding needs to be agreed for your apprenticeship, which is agreed with your employer. And I know that Steve is going to talk you through, I believe on the next slide, talk you through the funding requirements. So I will hand over to Steve now.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. So, hi everybody. I'm Steve. I'm the apprenticeship funding manager. So, I was going to quickly run through how the funding works. As Emma alluded to earlier, apprentices are not allowed to pay for their own training for an apprenticeship. It has to be paid for by the employer. And there are two ways that your employer can do this. So it basically depends how big your employer is. So if you work for a big company or maybe a school that's part of a local authority or a multi-academy trust, that will mean that you're setting your school will probably pay into the apprenticeship levy. So any company with a PAYE over £3 million has to pay into the government's apprenticeship levy, and that apprenticeship levy pays for any apprenticeship training. So if you're in that situation, your employer would pay for it through come out of their levy. If you are a employee of a smaller setting, so less than 3 million per annum PAYE, then the government will co-fund your apprenticeship. They're quite generous. They pay 95% of the cost of your apprenticeship, and then your employer just needs to pay the remaining 5% plus VAT. So what that looks like in a breakdown is early years lead practitioner level 5 is £9,000. So they would need to pay 540, including the VAT, towards the cost of that, which works out over an 18-month program of £30 a month. And then for the coaching, that's a slightly shorter program and is 5,000, so it's slightly cheaper. That would be £300 that they would need to pay, which works out at £33 a month over the 9 months. If your employer's unable to fund the apprenticeship because they feel that they're financially constrained, then they can apply for what's called an apprenticeship levy transfer. And this is where businesses who pay into the levy that don't spend all of their levy are able to gift up to 25% of that to people that apply. And if your employer's in that situation, then we will work with them to help them find somebody that will be able to willing to gift their levy to your employer to pay for your apprenticeship. If you're aged between 16 and 21 currently, or between 22 and 24 with an educational health and care plan, then the government will fully fund that apprenticeship. And if you're aged between 16 and 18, then your employer will also get £1,000 incentive, which will help with your training. Any questions? Pop them in the chat. Jess is up next to talk through our recruitment service.
Thank you, Steve. So hi everyone, my name's Jess. I'm the recruitment manager here at Best Practice Network. So the service that we deliver, we can help apprentices find employers, and vice versa. We help employers find apprentices. It's a free service that we use, so we're not like a recruitment agency where we charge a fee for employers or for candidates. It's a completely free service. Next page, please, Stephen. So how do we support settings? So if a setting is looking for somebody, they'll come to us and raise a vacancy for an apprentice. I'll just click through. Thanks, Stephen. So we advertise the role. So you might come across one of our adverts online. We then screen every candidate that applies. So the screening process is just ensuring that you're actually eligible for the apprenticeship. Things like you've been a resident in the UK, EU for at least 3 years. Double checking that you're not in any sort of form of education. Yeah, just ensuring that you are currently eligible. We then shortlist. So if you are successful, we'll shortlist you and we'll send your CV across to the employer. We'll arrange the interviews. A lot of the employers do sort of stay and play sessions. I'm sure some of you would have gone through those before. And then once the employer has selected their successful candidate, you then go on to your desired apprenticeship plus. Next page, please, Stephen. How do we support you as apprentices? So like I say, we do the screening call, review the current vacancies that we have. So even if we don't have any current vacancies in your local area live, it's not to say that we're not talking to employers about apprentices. So there is a space on our website for you to apply for an apprenticeship and select that you're not employed, and that puts you into our talent pool. That talent pool gets reviewed sort of weekly, fortnightly, and we reach out to nurseries in your local area to see if they are currently looking for work. Fabulous. As I already mentioned, matched candidates are offered interviews. Again, like I said, it might be a stay and play or a work trial. A lot of nursery settings do tend to do this just to ensure that working with children is for you. As we know, it's not for everyone. So we need to ensure that the people that we're placing and the employers need to ensure that the people that they're hiring are the right people. And if for whatever reason you go for these interviews and you're not successful, no problem at all. We put you back into our talent pool and we continue searching for work for you. Any questions, our email address is on the screen, or scan the QR code. Whether you work in a setting, in a management position and are looking to take on an apprentice, we can definitely help. Or if you're currently unemployed and looking for an apprenticeship, again, please reach out and we can see if we can help. Thank you.
Thank you,
Is this for
everyone.
me?
Yeah, I'm just stepping in. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoy like the whole sections, understanding more about the programs, the funding, and also what we can support on the on our placement and recruitment. And if you are happy with everything, you can just scan the QR code on the screen now, or just go to bestpractice.co.uk/early years. We have all the early years program there, including early years apprenticeship and the EYTS as well. So you can just go there to do the applications. And if you have any questions, you can just pop in the Q&A box right now, and we are happy to answer you right away. I think we have a few questions now. So I think this is for you, Emma. Someone has asked, is there a minimum requirement for the years of experience for the lead practitioner program?
There's not necessarily a minimum requirement of number of years experience. The key thing is that somebody's in a suitable role. Ideally, obviously, with early years educator level 3 having been completed in a leadership role. If somebody did want to do the level 5 without their level 3, it would be extensive experience. It would be years of experience. So, but we would look at that case by case. Usually, it's down to the role that somebody's in, and obviously having that level 3 completed previously.
Okay, and I also see a question like, what's the difference between the lead practitioner and the coaching, as they both are about building up the leadership ability?
Mhm. So, good question. So, the early years lead practitioner apprenticeship is an early years focused program. So, the knowledge that's delivered is all very early years focused, but with a leadership angle. So, it's looking at things around child development and the curriculum and very early years focused topics, but also leadership and going deeper into the legal requirements and theory than you would on a level 3 program, and looking at everything through a leadership lens, but it's an early years focused program. The coaching program is very coaching focused, so it's all in an early years context in delivery to make sure it's meeting the needs of earlier settings, but it is focused on the practical skill of coaching, and so it's very coaching specific. So whereas the early years lead practitioner is more early years practice focused. From a leader perspective, the coaching program is very coaching focused.
Thank you. And one question about the off-the-job training. So how does it work if it is within the working hours?
Yeah, so off-the-job training needs to be provided by an employer within working hours. So it's dedicated time towards your learning within the working hours, basically, that's developing new knowledge, skills, and behaviours that are relevant to the apprenticeship. So working having completed an apprenticeship, an employer would need to make sure that they agree and make sure that you are provided with those weekly hours. So it is different for each apprenticeship. I know I said the 366 number, which is, sorry, 466, which is for early years lead practitioner. It's actually a little bit lower for the coaching program, 326 hours. That would need to be planned in with the employer. We can give lots of ideas on how to meet the off-the-job training requirements. So it could be things like shadowing within the setting. It could be working with a mentor, depending on the content of the apprenticeship, reading policies and procedures, attending the virtual classrooms, completing online learning, working towards the apprenticeship tasks within working hours as well. So there would be an expectation of some of that to be provided as time that's given for study, and there are some naturally occurring opportunities that are coming up in things that are already happening within the setting.
Amazing. Thank you, Emma. And we have a question in the chat box is how long are the virtual classrooms?
The virtual classrooms are 2 hours long, and they're planned one classroom per month.
Perfect. Is there any questions, everyone? No worries. If you can't think of any questions at the moment, if you need any supports or need extra supports on your like circuit your cases or whatever it is, so you can just send us an email to the inquiries@bestpracticenet.co.uk or just call our phone number. You can also go onto our website and the bottom left corner, you'll find a checkbox, which is a live check to our team. And as I said at the beginning, so if you joined late, if you missed something, don't worry about it. We will send out the recording. So you can just reply to that emails if you have any questions as well. You can go back to the recordings to see the details of different programs. And thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, today. And I hope to see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.